I have a theory about what will get Robbie out of the funk in season 3, but I'll share it with you later. Okay? Not to get into spoilers.
Make out with Dr. Abbott.
Yeah, that you read my mind. That's what it's going to be.
So earlier this year, I think back in January, we covered the first season of one of HBO Max's newest phenomenons with the Pitt.
We
So the
did.
Pitt returned for its second season. It's set 10 months later after the events of the first. We're getting back to a single 15-hour ER shift on the 4th of July weekend. And with that, we got character drama. We got, Tom 4th of July related tomfoolery. We got character drama. We got Dr. Robbie, who is on the eve of leaving for a 3-month sabbatical, and him trying to get along with the new attending, Dr. Alashimi, who's played by
Shabana Aziz.
Yep. Yep. Shabana Aziz. No, Shabana Aziz. She plays Dr. Javadi.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. That's Sepide Mwafi.
There are a lot of characters in the show, and even I found it's kind of hard to keep track of names. Oh, Sapita Mwafi. She plays Dr. Alashimi.
Yes.
Yep. Also, we have Mel King, who's played by Taylor Dearden, who's dealing with being sued after the events of the first season, where it's kind of played as a mystery. We got Dr. Javadi, who's like struggling with burnout and the ED, dealing with like, do I want to stay in this field? And we also have the return of Dr. Langdon, who after the end of the first season was, found out to be a drug addict, was stealing meds from the emergency department, and drama ensues. Neil, what were some of your impressions of this second season?
So my impressions are that this continues to be an excellent class act character drama. I adore the first season for the sense of realism and character writing that it brought to the medical drama field. And I think season 2 really continues just these best in class things. And it plays out a bit differently than season 1. I do think season 1 is a bit more like, traditionally dramatic than this season is, but I thought the character writing in season 2 really made up for the lack of like traditional drama in a sense, because there's not like a big event they have to deal with in season 2, but all the acting is terrific. All the writing is super strong. It's very touching at points, and it just continues to be one of the best shows on TV.
Yeah, very much so. And, even going into the second season, I was wondering, okay, what could they possibly do to top the chaos of like the climax of the Pit Fest shooting? And there's, several things that could potentially have become that. Like at one point there's a potential cyber attack, so they shut off the hospital's like electronic record system, so they got to do everything by hand, by pen and paper. There's a slide collapsing at a water park that happens at one point. We get ice bringing a patient into the hospital, so that has potential for drama. But you keep waiting for this like explosive climax that doesn't really come, and so much of the drama is not so much in the explosiveness of one tragic action. So much of this season is about just burnout, especially when it comes to Dr. Robbie, because Robbie is a very different character in this season than he was in the first. And that is one of the ballsiest decisions, because at several points in this, Dr. Robbie is almost an antagonist in this season.
Yeah, there are several moments with Robbie where he is extremely antagonistic and unlikable, especially towards the end where people call him out on it. But that's kind of one of the interesting things this season does, because like there's no big big climax really with a hospital case, but at the same time, all the character writing really comes to a boil at certain points. And in a weird way, this season actually does an interesting sort of subversion of expectations because when you think the climax start, it actually gets a lot easier because there's like a new set of characters that get introduced, the night crew, that makes
Mhm.
the whole thing a lot easier. But yeah, I really like sort of the interesting inversions of season one that season two did because it really just continued the great character writing that we've been describing, and Robbie is a prime example of it.
Yeah, and so much of what makes this show work is the filmmaking that's presented. Because I think I was watching, it was like an interview or one of the EPKs that they released for the season, talking about how they how they make this show. Because this is without a doubt the most
So
medically accurate medical show on TV, and just the attention to detail that they do with all of the procedures, with the like the little bracelet that Langdon has that he's in recovery, the like
Hmm.
small things that you don't notice until you like watch and rewatch the season.
There's one part in speaking of little details, there's one part in particular where Trinity Santos is in the bathroom and
Mhm,
like, she's like getting up from the toilet stall and you get to and you notice like there are markings on her leg. So you can
mhm,
tell she's like really coping with the stress of being in the ER in extremely unhelpful ways that
mhm.
are not very obvious, but add a lot to her character and the plight that she's in this situation.
Yeah, and that's something that this show does phenomenally. It trusts its audience to pick up on these details and to really show and not tell, because we're only with these characters for this one day and this one 15-hour shift. So the show does a fantastic job of doing a lot of visual storytelling to get you into their character's head, get you into their mindset, especially with how they're coping with the stress of working in this environment.
Yeah, it really just, on top of like juggling all of this, it just does a really masterful job of balancing the character writing, but also genuinely compelling medical drama. Because there are several cases that are like go range from being like very silly, like there's a woman that comes in with sunburns from being out in the sun too long, but there's also like genuinely really touching ones, like there's a cancer patient where where that whole thing is a heartbreaking situation, and there's another one that I really thought was touching about the man with who they find out has diabetes but doesn't have the insurance to really
Mhm.
cover his treatments. And there's just a lot of great examples of like the patient stories intersecting with the doctor story in really interesting and unique ways that are compelling.
Yeah, and so much of what worked in the first season was seeing the kind of pressure cooker that that the ED puts these people in, and how they go about treating their patients. That tells you a lot about who the characters are, especially with the two new additions to the cast with Dr. Joy, student doctors Kwan and Ogilvy,
Hmm.
who they bring an interesting dynamic to this, because Quan is very much the I don't really care. I'm just kind of like here because I have to do a rotation in the emergency department. And Ogilvy is like that know it all. He's the Hermione Granger of this season.
Right, and it's interesting to see both of them kind of like get humbled or propped up in interesting ways. But also just as far as a major character goes, Dr. Alashimi is another great character who's introduced this season. Her whole deal is she's very on top of things and like really trying to push using like automated systems to like do medical journaling stuff. And when you find out what's going on with her, that adds another really interesting wrinkle to not only the how the hospital operates, but how like Dr. Robbie operates in that situation because it's a situation he's not prepared to deal with her. And I just thought that actress, Sepide Moafi, did a really great job with this role as well.
Oh yeah, she's a character that I was very like against in the first couple episodes, because we've all kind of dealt with a new boss coming into the workplace, somebody who wants to change everything, wants to like make all these changes just for the sake of it. But the longer the season goes on, the more you see that how compassionate she is with patients, how empathetic she is with the rest of the staff, and how much that contrasts with Robbie's burnout.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's great that you brought up that contrast because like she gets more likable as the season
Mhm.
goes on, and he gets less likable because like on top of all the part of the thing with season one is that Robbie is sort of a guy that's always on the edge of a mental
Mhm.
breakdown, and this season really brings that out, and it's interesting to see like these two characters go in completely opposite directions as the season goes on.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. I think I talk about this a little bit in my discussions about Invincible, where with the character of Mark and Omni Man, in that you kind of have these inverting character arcs,
Mhm.
where as one character is, devolving in Mark, you have another character who is like evolving and growing.
Right. I always think that's a really interesting contrast. Like there's, in media where you see sort of like the two main protagonists essentially kind of grow in very different ways. It's very interesting to see that nuance.
Yeah, and besides that, it and also just the last 3 episodes of this where slowly the rest of the cast, especially Dana, especially, Dr. Jack Abbott, who was my
Mhm.
MVP last season, they start to get sick of, Robbie's shit, and
I
they,
know.
rightfully confront him and call him out on it, and it reveals some, potentially, very, very triggering things, especially for me who has gone through, some issues with burnout and with my mental health. And
It's
so
ve
much of what Robbie was going through, it spoke to me in a way that, okay, this might be a little too real.
It is very real. It's very dark and uncomfortable a lot of times with
Mhm,
his character, but, like, also with all the other characters, like, you mentioned Dr. Langdon, who's coming back out who this is his first shift after getting done with rehab and trying to do
mhm,
the 12-step program, and he has a very uncomfortable relationship with a lot of people in this field too, because like, they're trying to size up whether they can trust him or not, and
mhm,
he is trying to figure out can he really trust these people back? Because like
mhm,
he does not have a nice relationship with Dr. Santos, and that's a
mhm.
really interesting uh character dynamic that exists in this relationship in this season. But I just thought all the characters from like Dr. King to Abbott to
Mhm.
Huckleberry all had really
Whitaker.
interesting dynamics. Yeah.
Yeah, Whitaker, I hope this show goes on forever because I see a lot of, because this is, has the same star and a lot of parallels to ER. I imagine that
Mhm.
Whitaker is going to be like the John Carter of of this show because I
I could
see
definitely
so
see
much
that.
of there's like every interaction that Dr. Whitaker, who in the show is played by Garen Howell, has with Robbie, you can tell that there is so much of I see myself in you and
Mhm.
see like the idealized version versus his interactions with Dr. Mohan, who's played by Supriya Ganesh, who I see much of myself in you, but it's all of the things that I hate about myself.
Right, there's just a lot of really nuanced, depth to these characters where everyone can see sort of shades of themselves in each other that really kinda adds to the complexity of these
Mhm.
dynamics that's really interesting.
Yeah, and it's just one of the best written shows on television, and I kept waiting for and we talk about this a lot with long running TV where so many shows go through like growing pains. So many
Mhm.
shows like I usually give myself like a rule of any new show, I'll give it like 6 episodes because I found that's like the time where okay, this show is like figured out what it wants to be. It's figured out the story. But with the Pit, that's the exception. It knew what it was from day one.
Yeah, it's kind of astounding how just right out the gate, it started as one of the best shows on TV, and it has continued that thread through the entire time. Because like, it was extremely strong when it started, and it
Mhm.
really just knew its strengths as as a television show. If we could just loop back to like just as a prime example of like the strength of the writing, like
Mhm.
you mentioned the last 3 episodes, and those are some of my favorite episodes too. But I especially love the ending scene. I'm not going to get
Mhm.
into it, but like there's a scene where Robbie has to kind of talk to himself about what is happening to
Mhm.
him.
Yeah,
And
in
that's a fantastic scene. It's so well acted by Noah Wiley, and it's just
yeah,
astounding to watch.
just imagine you're a patient in this hospital and all of the doctors are having an Emmy off, right? Right, and you're just, like, holding on for dear life.
Meanwhile, Dr. Keene is the only one having the most normal day because like her biggest problem is like her relationship with her sister kind of getting strained by unknown forces, and everyone else is like having a mental breakdown over something else.
It's like one of my favorite lines that, between a small interaction between, uh, Dr. Javadi and Whitaker, it's like, "I think I might go into psychiatry." It's like, "Langdon's an addict, I'm sorry, person with substance use disorder. Robbie's got PTSD, Dana's got PTSD."
Boy,
Santos is angry, and
I mean
what about Dr.
Abbott
King?
and Abbott, who is the actual combat veteran, is the most like well put together person in the squad
And
somehow.
he volunteers as a SWAT medic and gets shot at for fun.
Right, like, when your mental health is being circled by Dr. Abbott in this situation, you guys gotta get help is all I'm saying.
That is, like, the beautiful thing about the season finale, because the finale is pretty much like, because we learn, I think, in episode, like, it's either 12 or 13 that Robbie no, it's 13 that Robbie, in like a scene of him butting heads with Dana. Dana
Mhm.
calls him out over how he's treating everybody and is like urging him to just like, "Hey, just go on your sabbatical. We'll be fine." And
Right.
he just asks the "what if I don't come back?" Because he's planning his sabbatical is like going to be like a 3-month long motorcycle ride, and we see in the premiere episode he's riding without a helmet. So
Mhm.
again, another detail that the show is trusting us to kind of put together what is going on with Robbie, especially considering the breakdown he had in the during the Pit Fest shooting.
Mhm.
And the finale is the next 2 episodes are these beautiful of Abbott. He talks to him as a friend and urges him to like say, "Hey, you don't have to suffer in silence alone. You can get help. Just find somebody to dance in that darkness with you." But then the interesting one is I don't think he settles on getting help until Langdon calls him out on it.
Mhm.
And that's one of the interesting dynamics because in the first season, they were boys and they've been like kind of butting heads this entire season.
Right, well, because, like, their entire relationship broke down because
Mhm,
Langdon lied to him about stealing the drugs and being an addict and
mhm,
putting Robbie's career in jeopardy on that, so that's kind of one of the interesting things about The Pit as a show is because since every season is one day months ahead of time, it
mhm,
forces all the characters to be in interesting new situations every time you see them. So, like, by the
mhm,
time season 3 comes around, I fully expect Robbie to be in a different headspace than he was in season 2 when everyone else to be in a similar situation. And I just really love how the show kind of forces characters to confront each other in really interesting and unique ways every time they show up.
mhm. Yeah, and that's one of the beautiful things, especially about the filmmaking, because like something that stands out to me is because one of the with the character Javadi is like her mom, all both of her parents also work in this hospital. They're trying to like push her into different fields. Uh Javadi makes a mistake that almost kills a patient, and her mom like calls her out in the middle of the floor. And just in like the background and the periphery of the scene, you see like Robbie and Dana just at the desk who see everything. And then the camera pans over and you see Dr. McKay, who's played by Fiona Dorff. So it's
Mhm.
both pushing story forward and adding like a new emotional beat into the next scene between McKay and Javadi or Robbie and Javadi.
Yeah, there's a lot of like really great, like you've mentioned before, visual storytelling where like they don't they make it a point to not have the characters discuss this thing, but you can tell just by like through reactions, through like camera work and like character placements and stuff like that. Like so much of that is telling the story just as much as the drama going on with the hospital and everything around it.
Speaking of the drama in the hospital, one of the beloved characters from season 1, he makes a return to this Louis, who is kind of
Right.
a character that's a frequent flyer in the hospital, and he unfortunately passes away due to complications. And it's one of those things that I think everybody in the pit kind of knew it was coming, but it doesn't
Hmm.
really make it hurt any less. And that's some beautiful direction. I think the funeral episode was directed by Noah Wiley.
It was, and just as an aside, he's a pretty good director, I must say, just with how that episode was done.
Oh, and Josh is lurking in the chat. What's up, buddy? What's on the agenda? So we got, some trailers. We're just talking about the Pitt season 2. Big ass hat Nick has on. Yeah, I just came back from the gym and I did not feel like putting stuff or combing my hair, so I'm just like letting it fly. Actually, that don't
Right.
look bad.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, I think.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to the Pit. Yeah, this has been another phenomenal season of television. It has been an absolute joy to watch it week to week, to get to break each episode down as it comes. It's one of those that, yeah, this is what HBO days like were meant for. And just to
Mhm.
get to my final thoughts, this is just one of the best written television shows on one of the best written shows on TV. It's some of the best acting that that you can watch on modern television today. Noah Wiley once again giving himself like a shoe-in for the Emmy for Best Actor. I think the other
Right.
MVPs are potentially Issa Briones as Dr. Santos, a character who is very complex and very hard to root for. But I think we start to see her soften up, especially in the kind of budding friendship she has with Dr. King, that
Yeah.
was which that post credit scene of the finale of them just at the bar singing karaoke, that was like much needed catharsis for both them and the audience.
I love that scene too, just for everything it represents, and yeah, they just Dr. King just needs a friend outside the hospital, and outside of her sister, but yeah, it's a great scene, but yeah.
But yeah, my final review, if I had to give this a score at all, yeah, this is television. This is absolute, well, beautiful peak television.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat with you. I'm a part of me is almost like, well, what do you want me to say? It's perfect. I mean, this is television. This is continues to be the best acted, written, and produced show I know of on television. So yeah, this is just another perfect season. Just make sure season 3 comes out on time, guys. Please.
And speaking of season 3, there's been a bit of controversy around the show because Supriya Ganesh, her character is departing. She's a third. She started as a third year, and this is like her fourth year residency.
Uh
And she's announced that she's not returning to the show for its third season. And Aisha Harris, who plays Dr. Ellis, who's one of the night shift residents, she's being promoted to season 3 regular. And I don't really see an issue with it. I mean, the show is meant to be a teaching hospital, so it's like characters are meant to kind of rotate in and out.
Well, yeah, and plus, like, not every doctor is gonna go on every day you would see them. So there's nothing that says that she can't come back for like season 4 or 5 or whatever, because she'd still be working as a doctor theoretically. But yeah,
Heck,
uh,
even John Carter on ER, there was a large part of the show where he was gone.
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, in ER rotated doctors out, every couple of years. Like George Clooney left after several years on that, and that show lasted for a good while. But I will say I want to see more of the night crew in season 3. Like I want to see Dr. Shen, Cruz, and what was the guy, the shark? I want to see more of
Oh,
him.
Doctor the Shark Park, who was played by Lou Ferrigno's kid.
I want to see that guy like do more stuff.
Yeah, the night crew, especially like in their small appearances, they are absolute peak TV. And it's another show with that actor. I'm trying to remember the character's name, but he's also in Shrinking. He was also Dr. Cruz Henderson, who's played by Luke Tenney. He's one of the lead characters on Shrinking, and he's just a joy every time I see him. Oh, and he just appeared on Abbott Elementary also.
Oh,
So
okay.
he was on like 3 TV shows airing at the same time. So good on
Oh
him and
boy.
his agent because he's a joy to watch.
Yeah, I love Dr. Cruz when he was on screen. So maybe he can, help Robbie get out of the funk he's going to be in season 3. I have a theory about what will get Robbie out of the funk in season 3, but I'll share it with you later. Not to get into
Make
spoilers.
out with Dr. Abbott.
Yeah, that you read my mind. That's what it's going to be.
But yeah, that's the Pitt season 2, another absolutely perfect season of television.